Hello, and welcome to The Edge. My name is Olivia Fyock.
And I am Madi Morgan.
Today we are here to discuss body image and self-esteem among teen girls. Self-confidence is something that many people struggle with, especially in high school. Students are often worrying about on how they are perceived by others, and this affects the way they feel about themselves. One thing that teens, especially girls, are concerned with is their appearance. This may seem shallow, but it can have significant effects on their self-esteem. The way a person feels about themselves can affect how they act towards others and how their overall personality is. While going through high school, students' self-esteem and body image can be either a positive or a negative aspect of their everyday life.
Negative body image is often very common because society today makes people believe that they aren't attractive unless they fit beauty standards seen in magazines, on social media, or on TV. Approximately 91% of women are unhappy with their bodies. This leads to low self-esteem and insecurity, and even deeper, more extreme issues such as body dysmorphic disorder, depression, and eating disorders. Having a positive body image is about accepting and respecting your body. It also means realizing that insecurities and imperfections are part of being human, not something to hate yourself for.
Today we are joined by Ms. DiSimone, a counselor at a practice called Women in Balance, to discuss the unhealthy effects of negative body image and how to promote self-confidence. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely, thanks for having me.
So I wanted to start with just what is body confidence?
Well, I genuinely think body confidence looks different for everybody. So I can kind of speak for me in that body confidence is just feeling really optimistic and positive about our differences. So feeling like I can take care of my body, or feeling like I deserve respect, feeling that I'm open to going and trying new things, and just being overall great with who I am and what I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why do you feel that it is so important for teenagers to be educated on positivity, like surrounding their body?
I mean, there's a lot of reasons I do think, but I think primarily whenever we're not super confident with our body, we don't feel really open to going and trying things. So especially now when you are a teenager, you have an opportunity to try a lot of different things, whether that be taking a class or trying out for a sport. If we're not really confident in the way that we look or the way that our body is, sometimes we hesitate in trying those things. So we kind of count ourselves out before we even get there. So that's why it's really important for teenagers especially to feel great about who they are.
And do you feel that girls struggle more with body confidence and how they look than boys? Because I know that a lot of the time it's like more centered towards girls, but do you think that boys have the same struggles?
I do think that boys have the same struggles. Society says it's okay for females to kind of express themselves. So while boys and girls are kind of presented with the same stressors, females tend to kind of express themselves a little bit more. So I think we all kind of deal with the same struggles, whether that be pressures about body image or just pressures in general.
Yeah.
But females tend to kind of express themselves or just be more vocal about it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So how is someone who is struggling with maybe not feeling as confident about themselves, improve that?
Well, I mean, I think the general idea is to try to get ourselves to think a little differently than we have been. As humans, we tend to kind of lean towards being very critical of ourselves, and our natural thought process is, what can I improve? I think really being able to kind of switch that around and be more focused on the things that we do well, the things that we like about ourselves, the things that are just in general great about us, that's the idea. So trying different things that really help us learn to think differently.
And do you feel that teens are, these are sometimes like the awkward years for people. Do you feel that teens are more subject to really being concerned about how they look and are more self-conscious?
I think that in general, teens are going through a phase, I hate saying phase, but a period in their life where they're trying to figure out who they are. Mm-hmm. So at this time, we're looking towards people, things, media to figure out who we're supposed to be. So I think we all deal with it, but teens in particular are going through that time in their life where they're just trying to figure it out. Yeah. So that's why we see them struggle a little bit more.
Gotcha.
So do you think things in society, such as magazines or TV and stuff, are more targeted towards teenagers?
I mean, I guess I would say so. I think we all see them. But in general, teens are definitely looking at these things saying, this is what I'm supposed to be. This is what I'm supposed to look like. This is what I'm supposed to wear. And they try to strive for that. And then sometimes it's kind of unattainable for anybody.
Yeah.
So they get very frustrated.
Yeah.
Do you feel that social media, because I know a lot, it'll say like, oh yeah, social media is like the downfall of this generation. Like there's a lot of negativity towards it. Do you feel that there's any positive things that girls and boys alike can see in social media?
Yeah, we have this huge platform to be able to start trends or just be voices to our peers. And unfortunately, I think right now, I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but I think there's a big trend in bullying. There's a big trend in like really trying to fit a mold. But we have this opportunity to use these social media platforms to kind of start this body positivity and be a voice for girls to kind of relate to or boys to relate to. So while I think it has a negative aspect, we have an opportunity to kind of use it in a positive way.
So switching the topic a little bit, what is body dysmorphia?
Body dysmorphia is a clinical diagnosis that we kind of use to describe people who tend to obsess over certain parts of their body that they don't necessarily like. It could be like a specific part, whether it's like a body part like a nose, legs, or it could just be in general, I don't like the way that I look.
Is there anything that someone who sees in themselves that, okay, maybe I do obsess a little bit over this part of my body, anything that they can do to prevent themselves from going into the more drastic like eating disorders and negative aspects?
I mean, absolutely. There's a ton of things that we can definitely focus on rather than those flaws that we kind of see in ourselves. And I'm sure you guys can definitely relate to, I think everybody finds things about themselves that they don't necessarily like. We can choose to focus on those things and only pay attention to those things about ourselves. Or, and this is my suggestion to people, would be really try to find things that we like, things that we do well at, or things that that bring us joy, and focus on those things. And a lot of times if we shift our thoughts to that area, we feel more positive, we feel more motivated, we feel more optimistic.
Gotcha.
So as a counselor, how do you help people, and how many people do you get that have issues with this?
I think in general, well, let me first answer the first question. How do I help people? I typically see a lot of children, a lot of teens, but I also see adults. So I have a wide range of people on my caseload. Now, the number of people who come in with struggles in regards to what they look like or struggling with who they are, I would say the majority of people have a little bit of that going on.
Yeah.
Now, I do see it more frequently in females, more frequently in teenagers, but I'm not going to lie to you guys, I think that adults also struggle with this as well. So some of the things that I do is I really work with people on learning how to shift their thoughts from that focus or obsession on the things that we don't like to kind of moving towards a positive outlook or an optimistic, motivated outlook. We'll do things like trying to identify lists of things that we like about ourselves, or modifying things that we actually do, whether that be really forcing ourselves to go out and do volunteer work because that makes us feel good. So really finding things that kind of boost our mood, that's a lot of what I do in session.
So if someone that is facing, just low self-esteem or just not positive body confidence, is there anything that they could do on their own that you could give tips or tricks on what to do if they didn't want to go to a therapy session?
Oh, absolutely. And I think that a lot of times people avoid therapy because it feels scary. We have to talk about things we don't like. So there are absolutely things that you can do on your own. One of the first things that I would suggest to somebody would be kind of looking online. There's a lot of different websites, a lot of different chat kind of areas or forums that you can kind of get involved in that will kind of normalize the feelings that you're having, normalize the thoughts that are going through your head, and you can kind of bounce ideas off of other people. Some of the things that people have tried, like I said, kind of engaging in things that make you feel good. Ultimately, if I'm doing something that makes me feel good, my mood kind of follows. Really allowing yourself to talk about and address the things that you like. I think a lot of times when we're hanging out with our friends or talking to people, we're like, wait, I can't say anything good about myself. They'll think I'm kind of conceited or cocky.
Yeah.
Let yourself talk about those positive things, because the more I talk about them, the more I believe them and the more I'm focused on them. So really letting yourself do that is something that you could do on your own. Like I said before, kind of making a list. Some things that I've had people do is create a Google Doc that they kind of just add to daily about the things that they really like about themselves or the things that they're good at. Let's see, there's definitely a lot of different things. Affirmations, I don't know if you guys use those on a daily basis, but really adopting good affirmations that you kind of put on your bathroom mirror, positive, reminding you to stay focused on those good things. Those are some, I think, some good techniques to kind of use.
So how have you seen the ideas of body image like change over recent years?
So I've been practicing as a therapist for about 7 years now. And in regards to body image and people having concerns of body image, I don't think that that's really changed. I think that that's been a pretty constant. People strive to meet these standards that society places on them, and they struggle because a lot of times society places standards on us that aren't achievable. I think as kind of time has kind of gone on, the standards from society kind of get more difficult to meet. So that's kind of what I see changing. Our expectations get higher and higher and higher, and we get more frustrated and more frustrated when we can't meet them. So that's kind of what I've seen over time in my experience.
And how have you seen when someone has negative views on themselves, how does it affect their performance in extracurriculars or just like their daily life?
And this is, I think, one of the most difficult things to kind of see on the other side. A lot of times it prevents people from putting themselves out there, taking a risk. So they may have this amazing ability or amazing talent, but they feel scared to kind of try out for the team or go into a club or put effort into things because it's scary. So I think that's what I see the most.
Gotcha.
All right, so
Wait.
how have you seen like body positivity like improve in some of your clients?
Oh, when they put themselves out there and they take that chance and they have a positive experience, it's like the light bulb switches and they're like, I can do this. This is amazing. I have this experience. So once they have that exciting time, they're more motivated to try it again. So the more successes they have, the more optimistic and positive they become. So the confidence increases with risk taking, essentially.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, so that is all the time we have for right now, but we'll be back after the break.
Welcome back. So, we were talking a little bit about social media, and especially with our generation, it's like a huge influencer. We're always on our phones and checking Instagram and Snapchat and whatnot.
Right.
So how have you seen in your clients social media like specifically affect them?
I think that, I think that bullying probably is the most, I guess, predominant thing that I kind of see with people your age. Especially with social media, it makes it easier for a person to kind of be mean, not to your face. So that happens quite frequently, especially with like Snapchat when they can kind of disappear.
Yeah.
People tend to get really courageous whenever they're shooting out some of those mean things. So a lot of those negative kind of comments are directed towards people's appearance and what they're doing. But I genuinely think everybody kind of experiences it. It's kind of how we deal with it is the issue. Yeah.
All right, so earlier we talked about like the positive effects of social media, but how can like teenagers specifically like use social media to maybe like encourage like confidence in each other?
Yeah, I'm all about setting a trend. I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen slime and all that stuff, but I'm talking like a trend in, if I'm going to choose to be positive and motivated, I may encourage somebody else to do the same thing. So using body positive language or being optimistic about myself or being happy about what I'm doing can oftentimes kind of be contagious to people.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you guys have people in your life who are very optimistic or positive about themselves. I mean, what's it like hanging out with them?
That's you, honestly. You're like the positive, like always complimenting
Yeah,
people.
it does help. Like if let's say I always post on Instagram and stuff like that, because that's just what everyone does these days. But like when I post something on Instagram and I get like comments that are from my friends and they're like uplifting about it, it does make me feel a lot better.
Absolutely, and it sounds like you're very encouraging to your friends. So that's an awesome way for specifically teenagers to be starting that trend, essentially. If I can be positive, other people are going to look to me and be like, wow, she's really happy. Maybe I need to try. So I think in some ways, social media can be very helpful in that regard.
Yeah, I think the positivity is kind of like contagious among people. Like whenever someone makes you feel good about yourself, it just makes you want to go out there and like do that to other people.
Right?
And if someone is on, let's say, I keep using Instagram because that's what I use the most.
Everybody uses something different.
But let's say even Facebook or Twitter or anything like that, if someone is being faced with negative comments, and on all these social medias, the only thing that anyone sees is just what you look like, because you really can't get someone's personality or how they are because it's just words. But if someone is being faced with negative comments about how they look or anything that they post, what should they do?
I mean, there's a lot of different options in that regard. I guess my brain goes straight to let them know that what they're doing is very inappropriate and it hurts you.
Yeah.
So it's really important that you let them know, hey, please stop. Because at the end of the day, if we don't let them know to stop, they're probably not going to.
Yeah.
So it's very much appropriate for us to say, wait, that's kind of mean.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we're afraid to do that because we feel like we're going to start a giant
big drama.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think we need to start kind of standing kind of up to those people and saying, look, this isn't okay.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, if it gets very extreme,
tell a guidance or something like that.
We definitely want to get other people involved if it gets to the point where we can't handle it ourselves. So definitely don't be afraid to get other people involved if necessary.
Do you feel that there's anything that schools specifically could do? Because I know that a lot of times kids, if they are being faced with whether it's online or not in person, bullying, they're like, oh, I don't know if I want to go to guidance because then they'll get the other kid in trouble and it'll start. What could schools do that's not so looked down upon in that regard?
Yeah, we don't want to have anybody afraid to go get help, right?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of times just providing materials or information without having to go get them, whether it be like pamphlets or internet videos, who doesn't like a good YouTube tutorial, right? So if we could make those videos and have them available to students, a lot of times, I don't have to go see a guidance counselor. I can just get this information on my own. So that might be something even students can kind of provide for the school. And ultimately, you guys have a lot of power in your school too to kind of start movements, create clubs, present these ideas to your administrators and say, hey, this would be really beneficial. And I think when we have outlets, we have other people kind of starting that, people follow suit.
Yeah, I know in our school, in the girls' bathrooms, there's all these signs that I don't even know who.
There's like quotes and stuff.
Yeah, they're like body positive quotes and like little things like that. That just like came to my mind when you said that. So there are some things, I guess, in our school that we are doing. They like hang like little quotes and stuff.
Do students kind of put that up?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was
I'm not sure who put it up, but it's like students' handwriting on little post-it notes on the mirror.
Well, obviously that's made an impact on you guys. So I'm sure you guys aren't the only ones that have seen it. Everybody has seen it. So that's incredible. Yeah, that kind of goes back to like the affirmation, use of affirmation.
Yeah.
That's a really good technique to kind of make you feel good. Yeah.
Okay, so also onto like getting help, like whenever you're having negative views on your own body, like how can parents help their kids with that?
Parents can help by being that optimistic kind of reminder of, hey, you are awesome. Hey, this is great. And I think a lot of times too, we're afraid to share feelings. So even parents sharing their experiences or being open to hearing what their kids have to say, a lot of times really helps the kid open up to the parent too. So being a little vulnerable with the kid oftentimes lets the kid kind of be a little vulnerable with the parent.
Yeah.
Yeah, asking questions too is always a good thing. I know as a teenager, I'm sure it's like, give me my space. But this is something that a lot of times we would kind of ask for help from our parents.
Gotcha.
I also feel like as like with parents and stuff, and even with like sisters or other siblings, that like kind of being positive around them is also like, like you like follow that.
In like stores, for instance, this also just came to my mind, but Aerie, they have in the dressing rooms, they always have like the little sticky notes like people can write stuff on. And then is there anything that you've seen in recent years, because you've obviously had a job for longer than I've been in high school,
right?
But have you seen any like stores or companies that have come out that are off the top of your head that have promoted body positivity?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, this is the opposite of the way I would promote thinking, but I've noticed stores that have done the opposite.
Okay.
Right? So we see in the media the stores who don't provide sizes for women over the size of like 4 or 6, you know? So unfortunately, I've seen the opposite, and I pay attention to the opposite because that's what's presented to me. Do you guys know of any stores that have kind of promoted that?
I've heard.
I would say Aerie.
Yeah, Aerie's like the one that's like in our, like, because I always used to go to Aerie to get, because they have like a lot of things. But that's the one that comes to the top of my head. But I do see that like a lot of stores, like still in magazines, are still pretty set in the ways. Do you see any of them like coming to change in recent years? Do you think that change will happen?
I mean, I hope it will happen.
Yeah.
I think that's a very positive thing for not just teenagers, but humans in general. You know, being able to find clothes that we feel good in is a very important part to feeling good about ourselves. If I'm not able to find those clothes, it makes it that much more difficult for me to kind of achieve feeling great. So I'm hoping that that happens.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, in stores, like I'll see things that are like one size fits all, and they'll fit my 11-year-old sister.
That's
and
the most
not me.
annoying thing. Yeah.
So I feel like that's like kind of promoting the negative views on it too. So
It's just unrealistic.
Yeah.
Right? Not even just in regards to the way that our bodies look. Think about our personalities. We're all very different in every single way. So just our clothing cannot be just one way.
And back on, I know we already talked about social media, but it is so prevalent in our lives. If someone's being really discouraged by social media and it's just like, oh my gosh, like no one can even see my personality, like should I just delete it? Do you think that deleting social media, maybe just for a short period of time, would that improve on confidence at all?
Yeah, I definitely think that we have to accept responsibility of, if I'm letting negativity in, I'm responsible for kind of shutting it out. So if I'm finding a lot of negativity coming from my social media, that's something that I can definitely control, right? So if it makes me feel better to kind of shut that down for a little bit while I get myself put together, absolutely. You know, we also have the opportunity to kind of block people or remove them from our feed. So if we're not ready to fully commit to that delete, maybe deleting people from our feed might be helpful as well.
Gotcha.
I mean, I feel like media and stuff like that will always be there. So I feel like it is kind of like a personal responsibility to not let it get to you.
Absolutely.
And something that I've seen a lot on Pinterest, which I'm not sure why Pinterest, but it says that like self-care days, have you ever like promoted those? Because just like even from school, even if you miss one day of school, just to have a day to yourself, like watch Netflix, do whatever you need to do just to collect yourself.
Absolutely. I would never say miss school, but I mean, if that's what your body needs, for sure. Self-care is something very important that we don't pay attention to. You guys have so much going on in your worlds day to day. I mean, school takes up 8 hours, probably schoolwork, extracurriculars. You're pretty good. You're on the go a lot. So really making sure you have that time to just center yourself and focus on what you need. It's very, very important.
All right, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
We're out of time.
So much.
Yeah.
To summarize, self-confidence is extremely impactful in regards to mental health. This is why it is important to promote high self-esteem and encourage body positivity in people of all shapes and sizes. Thank you for watching. This has been all for today's episode of The Edge.